Hello and welcome to the Seattle interview series number 10. Today I have Jewell Loyd with me. Uh, just an incredible honor, Circling South Sports Podcast. Incredible to have you on. How are you doing? How are things going on? Obviously, the mural's up now, which I got to see that. That's pretty cool. How are you? How are things lately for you?
Things are good. Here in Seattle, it's like that Seattle getting ready for spring kind of weather. So it's kind of going a little back and forth, but it's been good. I'm adjusting and just trying to get my body and mind right for the season and USA camp, things like that. So I have no complaints.
Yeah, that spring, as I always tell people, it's very unpredictable. So, I didn't mean to skip this, but Jewell Loyd, two-time WNBA champion, Olympic gold medalist, Rookie of the Year in 2015, All Rookie Team, two-time WNBA All-Star, ESPNW National Player of the Year, ACC Player of the Year, and that's where I'll start in college. How was your experience at Notre Dame, and what do you remember most from your time there?
Yeah, I think my college experience was definitely different than most. It wasn't god awful, but it wasn't great either. For me, I struggled with a lot of things, and so for me, it was really focused on what are my goals. I think coming into college, I knew that I wanted to not just play in college and be done. I wanted to play at the next level. So how can I train like a pro? How can I figure out ways to get to the next level? So my mindset was also different than just living the college experience and going to parties and all that other stuff. Like that was cool, but that wasn't my main focus. So it was a good experience. The biggest thing I learned about college is just it's about relationships. Relationships that you keep and hold. That's like the biggest thing. Is I've made some really good friends at Notre Dame, and I still talk to them now. And so to me, that's the things I cherish more than just the whole college atmosphere.
And just to kind of go off script, how do you think your experience would have been with how things are now? Obviously, Zoom, primary learning area for now. I mean, how do you think that things would have been different if you were to be, say that would have happened when you were in college?
Yeah, I think I would have struggled. For people who don't know, I have learning disability, so I need all the resources and things to make sure that I'm successful in class. And when you're online, you don't have that. You don't have the one-on-one necessarily. With your teachers or time or things like that. So it would have been different. But I know I would have probably figured out a way to be successful. That's just how I am. And most kids nowadays, like that's what you do, you figure it out. But yeah, it would have been so much different for me. I have so much respect for the kids and professors and teachers, parents who had to do this for a whole year and are just now kind of getting back to somewhat like normalcy.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting to think about, just because at least my experience, I mean, I think end of freshman year to now this is how I've been learning. So, definitely kind of hinders it, I'd say.
Yeah.
So then from Notre Dame, what was your draft experience like and how did that all take place? What do you remember most from it? And what goes through your head, when you know that you're being selected, by Seattle?
Being drafted and the whole draft selection process is different. I still remember still being at Notre Dame at the time, getting ready to pack up and getting calls from GMs like, hey, we're looking at you and we're proud of you and all these other things. And I'm still like walking to class on the phone with, GMs while I'm like trying to figure it out. And so that was interesting. It was almost kind of like being recruited again. They're trying to get a feel for who you are, and you get a little insight into each team and how the coaches are. But being drafted, everyone who was supposed to be there in my circle was there. I had my godfather, my family. So it was very special to share that moment with my family. And my brother, he's very business oriented. Like doesn't really show a lot of emotions and whatever. But the moment my name was called number one and sitting there and looking around the table and seeing, my dad and my mom, my brother, my godfather, all the people who kind of molded me and kind of helped in my career, all kind of have a expression of like, oh man, it paid off, like we're all so excited for you. It was amazing. And it happens so quick. It happens so fast. Like you get your name called, you go upstairs, like you hold your jersey, then you go back to media. So it's like so quick. So you don't really get a chance to really soak it in. So I think, later on, you're like, man, that was pretty sick. Like you watch or see pictures and you're like, okay, like that's unbelievable. But in the moment, it happened so quick. You just kind of like, this is awesome. This is great. But it was, it's definitely a special moment, something that I will always remember forever.
Yeah, really. Sounds like a real whirlwind. So would you say it didn't kind of set in for a little bit after, or?
I don't think it hit me till like, I don't know, maybe my friends were going back home. I mean, the W moved so quickly. And for me, it was like I got drafted. Like the next week I was in Seattle. So I was already, leaving Notre Dame. I was gone, like whatever, did my finals, everything. I was back home in Chicago. A week later, I was in Seattle. Then I'm finding an apartment. Then it's just like so quick. So you don't really get a chance to like really sit down and like think about like what just happened. You just got to get ready. And so that's kind of what happened. But luckily, my circle has done a great job of, reminding me constantly of the accomplishments I've had in my life and to cherish those moments. But yeah, as a rookie, you kind of just like, what's next? What's next?
So from there, you come to Seattle, and then obviously that first year you win Rookie of the Year. Someone pretty, I'd say pretty important, Sue Bird, that first year, what do you learn from her in that first year, and I guess outside, I know I won't ask that just yet, but what do you learn from her in that first year? And did she, how much of an impact did she play in, helping you win that Rookie of the Year, if any?
Yeah, no, I mean, she, looking back now, like I'm spoiled. I've been playing with the greatest point guard to ever play the game, right? My whole life. Like that's my whole professional career is playing with a genius, right? A basketball genius. And so coming into the league as a two guard and trying to figure out how to play in the league, like you need a really good point guard. So having her and helping me, know when to flare, know when to curl, knowing, just to be myself and allowing me to grow into space. And I think Sue understood that there was a learning curve that I had to get to because I was one of the younger players in the league and, everything was so new. So the time that she took to get to know me off the court made me more relaxed and trust her when I was on the court. So that was something that was really big. And I don't think she really noticed that was a big factor for me to know that she didn't just care about me as a basketball player. She actually cared about me to get to know me as a person. And that allowed me to just, prosper and grow and be patient. And Sue always told me from the get-go, never get too high, never get too low. And so that's something that's always kind of been in the back of my mind as we train and practice. But I think the confidence she always gives us to go out there and be ourselves, that's something that I always cherish. And I mean, like I said, I've been spoiled because she makes it look easy. She makes my job easy when she's setting me up all the time. So it was great to have her as a rookie and then also be, teammates with her for this long.
So this might have been her, but do you remember who kind of reached out first to you when, you got drafted or, kind of said, hey, welcome to Seattle, excited to have you on. Do you remember who that would have been?
Yeah, no, Sue. I landed like on a Thursday and we went to a restaurant for dinner on a Friday. So she was really quick to help me out. Like I said, it was my first time living by myself in the city by myself. So she was the first person to reach out and right away got to know me. So it was definitely Sue.
How much, would you say that you've changed as a person and then as a player since 2015? Because, things change. I mean, every year, obviously last year, big changes and everything, but, 2015, and as you talked about, your learning disabilities, just how would you say, how would you reflect as a person that you've changed, in these just about 6 years or so, and then as a player on the court?
I think the biggest change for me has to be my why I play. I think that's been constantly evolving as I gotten older in the league and as I figured out what's important to me. I think early on, definitely my first year and second year, it was about proving people wrong. It was about showing, everyone who told me I shouldn't leave college early that I was right, proving, certain people wrong, right? Like that's my mission. It was like, no, I'm going to show you that I made the right decision for me. Like, I was like a hothead, like, no, like this is, no. So that's what showed my inconsistency when I played, because every time I made a mistake or every time I missed a shot, it was like I heard those, those words in my head. So it made me more, pissed off, or I lost the focus of what was actually going on.
Yeah.
And as I kind of grew and understood, like, how things work and what my goal was and what my vision was and where I want my legacy to be and things like that, I realized that I can't control that. It's not my worry. Like, what's my why? And I look at my family, I look at my niece and nephew, I look at my friends, and I think of the bigger picture of like really helping young girls, young, Black athletes and the next generation. It's like, that's what I'm passionate about, not necessarily proving people wrong. So as I've gotten older, as I've been able to play and travel across the world, you realize like what actually matters to you. You realize life's a life's a gift and you're not guaranteed anything. So now my why is, I play for joy. I play for the next generation. I pass down information. And that's what keeps me going. It's not necessarily trying to prove people wrong, because you do that, that's a miserable life, because you're not gonna please everybody.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to understand as a young athlete, because you're trying to prove yourself, right? But when I've been very blessed and fortunate to be in the career that I'm in and have a career that I've had, and realize like every win, every day, it's a win, right? And so I don't need to form myself into what other people want me to be. I just try to be the best version of myself every day.
Do you have a certain welcome to the WNBA moment that sticks out to you, that kind of that hit you and you said, wow, I'm here right now, whether it be, some that you really enjoyed, or maybe just some that kind of knocked you down and said, oh, this is real now, and I'm, kind of gotta be prepared for this? Ooh.
I think as a rookie, I mean, you're playing against veterans, so getting hit on screens and the tempo of the game, and getting your shot blocked by Diana, then her talking smack to you, then going, it's like, in college, I was the one who's blocking people's shots. Now I'm basically starting at the bottom again. So I think you realize pretty quickly, just because how competitive our league is. It's not easy to make this league. It's not easy to make a roster. So when you compete every night, you're actually competing every night. There is no off nights, and anyone can get you. So I think right away you learn that it's every night you have to bring it. Every night you have to be a professional. And sometimes it's hard for people to struggle, but like learning that early on, and we weren't that good my first 2 years. So seeing like, man, like we're losing, I haven't lost like this forever, and the media and all these other things, you kind of get hit like, man, this is not college where I'm guaranteed to play. This is not something that you're guaranteed to do. So now I have to figure out ways to be consistent and help our team, things like that. So definitely first year, I got hit by so many screens, it was ridiculous. Like I wasn't strong enough, I was just getting knocked around. And you'll eventually learn, but it's usually a lot of rookies get hit right away with screens. They come for you right away.
Shoot, that's so how did you feel when you were voted into your first All-Star game in 2018? Was it emotional, or was it just kind of hard work paid off type of thing? How did that feel to you?
No, I was definitely excited. That's been one of my goals, to be an All-Star, and you work super hard for that, and to be named that, you see the recognition that you have from the fans, the coaches, your colleagues, and that you're on the right path, and you get the first one, you're like, okay, maybe it's a fluke, right? And then you hope that the next year you follow it up, or whatever it is. And so being All-Star twice, it's nice, but it's not everything as well. So it's I try to just, obviously it's great recognition, but the end of the day, that the goal is to win some championships.
So looking still at 2018, I don't know if you have a favorite, but does either title in last year or 2018, is there one that was more enjoyable to you, or they both is like, hey, these are titles, I can't complain?
We won in 2018, and it was such a unique season in itself for us, and everything that we had to fight through, and it was an historic run, honestly. Our game 5, Phoenix, things like that. But for me, I didn't play to my standard. So I was very mad after we won like a championship, like something I've always wanted. I'm still like, dang, I don't feel good, because I didn't play well, in my eyes, right? And so I told myself, we get back to the playoffs, we get back to finals, like I want to, finish right. I want to play better. I have to play better. And so I feel like 2020 for me was a better championship run for us, something that I remember, not just because of how I played or how we played or how we handled business, but with everything going on, our focus, our commitment to social justice, and seeing everything kind of went around the educational part of it, that makes it so much special, because I don't know if we'll ever do that ever again. Like, who knows, right? Like having a bubble and doing that for the first time, and everything's going around, like that's got to be like a 30 for 30, like who knows?
Yeah.
So, so it was like, I don't know. So for me personally, I have to say, last year's championship was definitely more, a little bit of an asterisk and of excitement, things like that for me.
I want to branch off in two ways, from what you said there. Obviously with the bubble that happened, I'm sure that, obviously, you win a championship, but I'm sure having to be in that environment, in that setting for so long can't be enjoyable, and then Obviously things are getting better, vaccinations are continuing to, increase, and it probably won't look like that'll have to happen, but when that idea was potentially floated around, I saw several people just immediately shoot it down.
Mhm.
What was that like for you, having to go through? What was your bubble experience like?
The best way to explain it for people to understand it is like it was like adult summer camp. Like it was
Mm,
like lanyards and everyone has their own like their dorm, and it was
yeah,
literally it was summer camp. Like you can't go home until your parent comes get you. Like for us that was until the end of the season, so you lose, right? So it was the same thing every day. Some people thrived in it, some people it was just too much. You don't have an outlet and you don't have other resources, and you're literally doing the same thing every day. That gets redundant. And luckily for us, we get along with our teammates, and we were able to have some kind of chemistry and game nights and things like that. But at the end of the day, it's a lot of on your mental, because you're
yeah,
also thinking about what's going on outside the bubble, right? Like as much as we're doing things in the bubble and we're educating ourselves and we're talking about this and we're on ESPN, like there's a lot of stuff that is going on that we can't really be a part of because we're isolated too. So for me, it was trying to find my peace. Working on we had a counselor. I was talking to her. Like it was a lot of things that I had to do for my mental, but overall, I mean, if you can get through the bubble, you can get through a lot of things.
and then you talked about it, with whenever I see, these issues that pop up in the world with social justice, it's always like the WNBA is first to do something, and they always spread the message correctly. That's always something that stood out to me. I was like, wow, it's always like they're first, they're leading the way, and I always really appreciate that. And it's like the other leagues follow suit. They see what the WNBA does, and they say, hey, let's. I don't know. If that makes sense, I'm probably rambling a little bit, but it's
No, no,
always
yeah,
that's always stood out to me. I was like, hey, they're coming out and saying something first. They're making a statement first. And I always thought that was really cool, for the league as a whole to do that. Obviously, you guys did your thing, but, with the league as a whole, I just always thought that was really cool. And I think that that's important. That's something that part of the reason I started the podcast was there was a paper on an athlete. I had a question. It was like, should athletes use their platform? And I was like, absolutely. And I did a thing about, different people who have, obviously, I'm sure you remember, I don't remember her name. I don't think her name should be said. Someone told LeBron to shut up and dribble. And that was a whole thing. I was like, well, so just to
yeah,
see the NBA consistently do that is, really, I just, I don't know if proud is the right word to use, but it makes me proud. I don't know.
yeah.
Um,
Appreciate that.
well, I thank you guys for, doing the work that you continue to do, speaking of, well, not speaking of, do you have a favorite team in the league to play against? Is there anybody that you sort of like to go after on a certain night? Look at the calendar, say, oh, I'm excited to play against, whoever. Obviously you mentioned playing against Diana, but is there anybody that's like, I really want to go after these guys tonight?
If you look at my stats, I usually play pretty well against Phoenix. I think that's because of Diana. I think because, when you're looking at the GOAT, right? Someone you watch growing up, someone you modeled your game after, and you had like the mama connection. You don't want to go out there and suck. You want to give her the best respect, and the best respect is to play hard and compete. So I think I dial in a little bit more playing against Phoenix. Not that she guards me or anything, but for whatever it is, Phoenix has always been a team where I felt really comfortable playing against. But hopefully that's like the feeling I have against every team in the league. But yeah, there are Chicago as well, just because I know the Chicago people so well. Growing up there, knowing the organization, Sloot and stuff, they've helped me so much grow as the player I am. So going back home, always playing in front of my fans and my family, it's always really nice being in Chicago. So those two teams I love playing against and playing with. It's just good people and good energy every single time.
A little extra motivation, doesn't hurt. Would
Yeah,
you say with that then that would be your favorite away arena, if so, or maybe if not, maybe Chicago? Or
yeah. Arenas, it's a little different. I think yeah, I mean, it's for me, I don't know. Phoenix is a good vibe for me. I like playing in LA. It's a little different. But my best away games have been in Phoenix. So that's what it is.
hurt, it doesn't
Yeah.
hurt.
Yeah.
If you had to pick one, who would you say is your funniest teammate, whether it be, current roster or throughout your career? Funniest teammate, if I had to put you on the spot.
Mercedes Russell. She is hilarious. People think she's like super quiet and like super laid back, which she is super laid back, but she's hilarious. Her side comments and her goofiness is, it's one of the best by far.
So taking it to this year, this last year, pardon me, what challenges did Las Vegas present in those finals? And how was the team able to combat them? Because obviously, if you look at the scores, wasn't exactly nail biting. That's no disrespect to Las Vegas, but what were you guys able to exploit against them, or what did you guys see to be able to win in that fashion?
We've always been very prideful in how we practice and how we are always in shape every year. We know that our speed and our stamina is like a big part of how we play, is a lot of movement. So we try to wear teams out. We try to wear them out and move and find mismatches when we can. And, we knew that Vegas is very physical. They're very big and they come, they bring that toughness every single night, and it's always hard to compete against them. And obviously they have MVP Asia, who, you're going to try to stop, right? But she's going to score, she's going to dominate.
Oh yeah, she's going to get hurt.
But now, exactly. So now it's like, okay, well, if she gets hers, we got to make sure no one else gets theirs, right?
Yeah.
But yet they still have such a dominant team. So for us, it was, we're on our stuff. Like, we're confident in who we are. We're confident in what we're, about to do. We're confident in our abilities to run. Halfway through, quarters, we knew they would win it, and our bench came in, they were good, and we were fresh. And
oh yeah,
that's we're very big on making sure we're in shape and we're playing fast all year round. So when it comes to those games, that we just hopefully wear teams out.
So to keep in that season a little bit, and then I'm going to move from there to newer things. How has it been? Well, not necessarily the season, but kind of. How has it been trying to keep in contact with everybody on the team, throughout the pandemic? Obviously, we've got a couple players, playing overseas, but in general, how has it been trying to, keep in contact with everybody? Because, normally I'm sure, there would probably be team activities and such. I remember I was down in downtown one year and I don't remember if it was you. It was a team, because I remember the logo specifically, but I was like, obviously, there's team activities, I'm sure, that would go on. How has that been, throughout the pandemic? How has it been trying to, stay in touch with everybody?
Well, we stay in a group message all year round. And so we usually hit the group up when when things go, are going on or whatever it is, or just checking in. So we usually just do that. And like I said, we've been, most of us have been together for a while. So have a great relationship with Stewie and Sue and, Sadie's. And I know Piff since I was in high school. So our relationships are kind of pretty strong. So when we're in the group message, everyone kind of hits it up, or, we make sure that we're good. So that's pretty unique about us, that we're actually pretty close off the court. So it kind of helps on, the pandemic, and we stay in contact all year round.
So relating to teammates, obviously, some fan favorites left this year. Well, not necessarily by choice. Sammy Whitcomb, Natasha Howard, Alicia Clark. Three big players, three instrumental players to this organization. What do you miss most about each of those teammates? Since, obviously, Sammy and Natasha are in New York, and Alicia is with Washington, I believe. I might have forgotten that. But, what do you miss about those three?
I think, right off the bat, you look at, AC was our, energizer. She was our core for, our leader defensively. And, we're going to miss having her voice, kind of just holding everyone accountable. But, she's done a great job of being a leader to, help, myself, Stewie, find our voices. So, we're ready to kind of fill that void. But, even with, Tosh and Sammy, right? Like we were together for, multiple years. That's super rare too. Like as much as people are like, man, they left, but a lot of teams don't stay together that long that we have. So we were, it's going to happen. Like Golden State's kind of going through that now. It's like, it's hard to keep everybody together. So you kind of know that people are going to leave here and there, but Sammy's such a great person. Everyone on our team and everyone who comes to our organization is great people. So you're going to miss, the energy they bring in, and, their side comments and just their personalities. But basketball, you bring people together, and, hopefully you have good relationships to maintain that beyond just basketball. But it's going to be a new look for us and a new team. And, we're just excited to get everybody back in camp.
Like you were saying, any team that is consistently a championship contender, and any team that, continues to win these, you're not going to be able to keep everybody. It's, it's just not going to be able to happen. So, it's, speaking about that, the new faces, Candace Dupree, Stephanie Talbot, Katie Lou Samuelson, Micaiah Herbert Harrigan, Haley Gorecki's on the training camp roster. How are you feeling about next season? Because I don't know if you ever buy into any of the, technically I'm journalism, but I'm not big name journalism. Bleacher Report rated you guys as a D for the offseason moves, which I think is blasphemous, but that's my piece. How are you feeling about next season, as well as, your new teammates? And, have you been able to reach out to any of them? I know Katie Lou's playing overseas with her sister. How are you feeling about the new teammates?
Yeah, a D is passing. So a kid from me, I'm like, hey, as long as I didn't get an F, like we're passing. So you can always go up from there, right? I mean, no, but yeah, I mean, we're excited for people to get in camp. We're excited to see everyone. The biggest thing is making sure everyone's bought into what we do here in Seattle, and we're really big on culture. We're big on the atmosphere, and so having people actually here in camp to see what we do, see what we're about, and ready to learn, we're excited about that. And Dupree's been a veteran, so she knows the league very well. So having her expertise is very crucial, trying to help the rookies and the new people coming along and figure out, what we are, right? Every team is different. No matter how long you've been together, every season looks different too. So we're excited about that. And I've reached out to, the younger rookies and, just reaching out to them to get to know them and let them know, what we need from them and the mindset that they need to have coming into camp. I know Haley from Chicago area, she played on my AU team, so I know her pretty well. And so being able to talk to her and kind of ease her nerves a little bit, but let her know that it's, it's competition. It's here, nothing's guaranteed. So come in and bring it. So yeah, we're excited. We're excited to have an actual training camp and hopefully everyone's healthy and, ready to go when they get here.
Yeah, with adding some veteran presence, I forgot to mention Ty Young. That's my fault. But adding veteran presence into some younger players, I don't know. I'm excited. There was that, and I was just like, I don't know. Obviously, it's tough because I guess the writer didn't watch anything overseas, and that's a big part, to pay attention to. So I will get in overseas here in a second. Speaking of newer things, are you excited to play at it's now Climate Pledge? I have to keep remembering that when it's all ready, because that's such a huge thing to have it all redone. And you spent, I remember there was, while that was happening, spending time in Everett and I don't remember the Heck Edmondson. Are you just excited to get back in Climate, back at home, spend time in the bubble and then back at Everett and UW?
Yeah, hopefully we're able to get in there and play. I think it's good for the city, it's good for our fans. I mean, that's been our home gym, and we've had some amazing games. And the history of the arena is still very, prevalent in this area. So, we're hoping to get in there and play and have a chance to kind of break it in.
From what I read, it was supposed to be, around playoff time, end of season for you guys. So, hoping everything goes well. And then with that being said, would you want to see a Sue Bird statue when things are all said and done for her and her career outside of that stadium? Because I think it would just make sense. Obviously, speaking of statues, Adrian Wilson has hers at SC, but I think I know your answer, but I'd let you let you speak on it first.
Yeah, I mean, Sue has done so much for the city. She's done so much for the game of basketball, and to have her recognized outside the stadium or have her anywhere in Seattle would be amazing. So whatever she feels is right. I mean, I know she is super low key, but also as she's grown, she's been super popular as well. So any way we can honor Sue is that's what we want to do, is make sure that her what she's done for the city gets recognized, and then her legacy keeps moving forward.
Speaking about newer things again, have you seen the new jerseys yet? Have they showed you those yet? I know obviously you were in the photo shoot for the new hoodies. I got to get one of those. I slacked a little bit and they sold out. But have you been able to see the new jerseys yet, or are those still a secret to you as well?
It's still a secret. I saw some prints. I saw some early on, but actually seeing it, live in person, I haven't done that yet. Hopefully soon. But I know they're, it's for us, we're excited about, anything new for the debut and something that's exciting, something that you want to wear. So I heard it's pretty fresh.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting to think about. I know, because I have the weekly show I do on Tuesdays, right, with a couple of guys, and I like the logo. I liked it. I didn't think it was trying to do too much. Pretty sleek. Like I said, I miss out on the damn hoodies.
Yeah.
They were like, oh, hey, I liked it, so I'm excited to see what they do with it. And then to speak about Seattle, you know, coming from, like you said, coming from Chicago, and then obviously you're stopping Notre Dame. What are you thinking about what are your thoughts on Seattle as a city after being here for, about 6 years? Obviously, as you mentioned, with the weather, that's always a big factor. But what do you think about the city of Seattle?
No, the city, it's been great. It's, anyone who comes out and visits from back home, they fall in love with it. It's a different vibe. It's definitely more laid back than Chicago, hustle and bustle kind of vibe. But no, I really enjoy it. It's definitely peaceful here, and that's something that's you kind of need with the hectic lifestyle that I live, and having to come back home and finding some peace. And it's better than shoveling snow. I can deal with the rain. Like I can deal with it. It's not like a
Yeah.
Midwest storm all the time either. So this is like a good calminess for me.
With the exception of snow every once in a while, that's we get it like once every February. It's there's these big storms, and then it's kind of like,
Yeah.
okay. So getting into playing overseas, as I alluded to earlier, what differences really stick out to you when it comes to playing in the W as compared to going overseas and playing there?
The competition by far. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of great players overseas and there's a lot of great teams and leagues, but there's nothing like playing the W. I mean, every night you have to compete. Every night you have to bring it. And overseas, sometimes you could kind of cruise through, certain games depending on who's on your roster, who you're playing. But I think that's like the biggest thing. The competition is different, and the game's different. Overseas, it's really team oriented, like really heavily. They're big on that. They're really big on EuroLeague, really big on their cup games, and for us in the W, it's like regardless if this is practice, regardless of this, we're trying to go win a championship. And the competitions is harder. I think the physicality, the athleticism of the league guarding people's is different. Like I'm gonna lie, like when I go overseas, I'm playing defense, but I'm not really playing, because it's just different, like, that
Yeah.
you could kind of pick and choose, how you want to play because of you trust your athleticism. That's why Americans are over there. They need us to help, right? So it's just different. But I have a lot of respect for all the European teams I've been on and played against. And like I said, there's a lot of European players that don't get a lot of love that are really good that should, could come over here in the league and play. But it's just different. It's just different culture. That's it. But physicality and like I said, the W is just different competition.
Do you have a favorite memory from playing overseas? Anyone that, I kind of ask questions that might have been, oh, there's more than one, but do you have a favorite memory or two about playing overseas?
I think probably my favorite experience was playing in Spain, playing for Salamanca, the same team, Luzon right now. They're such a great organization, and we won the Copa back to back, and we won in our own town, which was like never been done before ever. So that was right before the pandemic happened. We won. My dad was able to come to Spain and watch me play overseas, and so that was exciting. But the people of Salamanca and the team and organization were phenomenal, and so I have a lot of respect for them, and that was probably my favorite moment overseas.
So to step away from overseas, I guess, what was your experience at the first USA basketball camp you attended in 2009 at the age of 15? How was that? How did that go? Because I mean, you're 15.
Yeah.
I don't know if you were prepared for it. Say, hey, this is a USA basketball camp, or what was that like for you?
I think it was different. I think I didn't go to a big, well-known high school. I wasn't necessarily ranked super high or really well-known, nationally. And so going to USA, you're hearing like, oh, that's the girl from, New York, that's the girl from there. And I'm like, I don't know who these girls are. I'm just going to play, and that wasn't me being arrogant or anything. Because I really didn't know. Like I only knew about Chicago players, right? And that's all I really cared about was like whoever I'm playing in my, for high school. So going there, you kind of just embrace it. You just, you're also at that like awkward stage of like trying to meet friends. Like I remember me and Stewie, like we pretty much just looked at each other the whole time. We were both super shy, super nervous, and just wanted to play basketball.
Yeah.
Like, so like it was just like one of those moments where like, all right, like, you like basketball, I like basketball, all right, let's go play, rather than like whatever. But it's different because you're there and you're like, so like, am I better than her? And you kind of start that the mindset of comparing yourself to players and seeing where you need to be, seeing how far off you are from the real competition. So it's always interesting. But anytime you're with USA, you learn so much from the coaches, from the style of play, the wisdom, the knowledge. So I always walked away and walk away still now, just leaving like, okay, like I learned this, or I understand this, or spacing, timing. But it's definitely different, because you walk in the gym and you're just like, I have to make new friends for the next 4 days. Like, who do I sit with at lunch? It's like an awkward high school experience kind of thing. But it's always very fun.
So to go off track, did you keep in contact with Stewie after that, or was it, when you're both brought to Seattle, you're just like, hey, it's you, or how did that go?
Yeah, no, ever since, us being together in France and Spain together, we've been really cool. I've always had a really good relationship with Stewie. A lot of people think that we didn't get along because she went to UConn, I went to Notre Dame, but that was like irrelevant for me. But yeah, no, Stewie and I, we've always been really cool and really close, which has been really nice. So finally, we finally got a chance to be on the same team together. It's working out pretty well.
Speaking about UConn, I know there was a tweet, I think Phoenix put one out, and it was, they've got 4 UConn players, and then Seattle retorted, with the now 4 UConn players with Katie Lou, but with the titles in the back. Do you ever, kind of rib anybody on the team about UConn at all, or is that just kind of like, hey, you went to UConn and it doesn't really matter as much?
I don't really care about that. I never cared about college stuff. Like I was trying to be a pro, like, I didn't really care. Like it was obviously if we had opportunities to win, right? Like we were there, and if we were going to compete and we want to win a national title. But I mean, UConn's team was just stacked. Like, and I've been a UConn fan even though I didn't go there. I've always had appreciation for Gino and what he does and the players. So every once in a while, Stewie gives me crap for beating her because we were the only team that beat her 3 times. So three of her losses were to us. So I'll take credit for that. But yeah, no, it's nothing. I mean, we're professionals now. Like we're getting paid to do something that we love. Like I don't really. I'm not like it's like whatever.
To get back on track, can you put in the words what it's like to play in the Olympics? Are you able to sum that up at all, or is that just an experience that you've just got to kind of experience?
We're gonna experience it, right? In a couple months. That's my my goal. Coming and playing and leaving college early was I want to win a WNBA title and I want to win a gold medal. Those have been my goals. So I can't even fathom the emotions I'll feel once I get the call that I'm on the team. I can't even think about it because that's something that's unbelievable. I mean, that's the highest of high, right? Like that's like what all athletes want to compete in is a gold medal. And so having even the opportunity to have USA on my chest and go to the camps and be involved is like super humbling, but it keeps me hungry.
How different would you say are the 3v3s and just normal, well, not normal, but more, the 5-on-5s? What's the difference there?
It's speed. It's different. It's such a faster paced game. There's no stopping. Obviously the rules are different. Once the ball goes through the net, it's the shot clock starts right away. You can play defense live before you go back to the 3-point line. So you really have to, it's kind of like playing tree ball, like you're playing the parks, but a little bit more organized. Like it's a lot of one-on-one defense and breakdowns, and you got to be able to guard your own. It's a little bit more physical because the refs don't really call as much. So it's nonstop, like going for, the 10 minutes or the first 21. So there's no breaks. Where, 5-on-5 is a little bit more structured. Obviously you have different subs, you have coaches, like timeouts. And 3-on-3, you're kind of just out there with you and your team, and that's it. Got to figure it out, and you're being timed, so you don't have time to think. You just got to react. So I like them both. It was an experience to play in Russia and to do that, but I'm more 5-on-5 now.
Is there anything in your game that you're working to improve on right now, or is it sort of, just continuing to, work as a whole? Is there anything that's like, hey, I need to work on this,
Yeah, I said this last year too when, everyone's asked me like, what you work on? I'm like, I'm not going to talk about it. Like, I'm just going to show it because a lot of times, we talk about, I've been doing this, and then you don't you don't do it,
Yeah.
So I want to be more about just my actions. I know that I've been working with Phil Handy, and so I've been working on handles, I've been working on shooting, extending the range, all the other things, but none of that matters if you can't do it on the high level, right? Yeah. So in my mind, I feel like I'm there, I'm working, I'm improving, but we'll see. We'll see this season. Like all the things that come together, if it makes sense, and you guys can be the judge of telling me what I've improved on. And I'll let you guys actually do your jobs. And I give you guys a study guide.
Oh yeah. Um, Now I know some people don't like to kind of look at their accomplishments or like, oh, I'm still working right now. Like you say, I don't try to focus on that stuff. Would you pick an award that means the most to you from your career? I know you kind of mentioned, the Olympics and that gold medal, but is there anything that means the most to you?
Um, Honestly, I think the best thing so far has been the dedication of my court in my hometown. I think having that plaque there um, shows what the love that we have in our town. If I was just talking to a friend the other day, and I don't think like I'm from a small town, Lincolnwood, Illinois, and how we were raised and the community there is nothing like I've ever been involved in ever. And everyone who comes from Lincolnwood always talks about, yeah, Lincolnwood's this. Like we just rep Lincolnwood. Like it's different. It's a different feel. And so knowing that the community has been with me and has never left my side and has always had my back and always supported me with everything, to go back and see that they put a plaque on the course that I grew up playing on, it's amazing, because now generation of kids have come there and they're reading the sign and they're looking up who I am, or they're like, oh wow, like she's from here, like she's one of us, and that's like, we're very prideful to be from Lincolnwood. So that's amazing to always go back and see that, and then see kids actually playing outside and playing on the hoops that I played on. So I'm very appreciative of that.
I am glad that you mentioned that because I do want to bring up the warehouse gym in a little bit
Uh,
here. Um, I think you kind of talked about it a little bit before when we were talking about the storm, but do you have any goals for yourself at this point in your career? You just kind of working to just be Jewell? Is there anything that you're working towards, or is it you're just working right now?
and I'm working on creating forever and being epic. I'm creating, I'm working on me. I'm not trying to go. I'm right where I'm supposed to be. I feel like I'm right. I'm not trying to rush anything or do too much. My career, obviously, I think I still have levels to get to, and I'm not going to rush it. I think the timing of everything, and the timing of my progress is perfect. So I'm working on just kind of creating things for the next generation of kids. I'm really focused on giving back as much as I can, inspiring the next generation of athletes. That's something that I'm super passionate about, and that's what that's my why now. It's not necessarily about me. Like I'm able to do this for 6 years, and obviously hopefully more, but I'm here. Like I'm not content, but I'm here, and I understand everything that comes into it. But as much as I go, I want to also give back.
Time to well, not oops. Do you have a favorite pair of shoes to play in? Is there any that kind of sticks out to you as like this is my go-to, or is it just kind of going with what you feel that night?
I mean, I've always wore Kobe's. I would probably say the most meaningful Kobe's are the golds, the finishers. Those were by far the best because only I have them, and the story with them, and what it means, and the legacy of Kobe and Gigi and our history. Like those are by far my favorite, and they're tucked away in a safe, and I'll keep them framed and all that other stuff, and won't wear them again. Kind of writing off the chapter and closing the book on life on everything kind of happened.
Oh yeah. Do you have anything that do you have a favorite moment, from any experience you had with Kobe that you'd want to share? Obviously, I'm sure that's a very special relationship to you. Is there anything that kind of sticks out to you about him? Maybe, making you laugh about something or pushing you to be better. Is there anything that you'd want to share from your relationship with Kobe?
I think the biggest thing to take away for people to know is that I was definitely fortunate to see him as a father, see him as a man, the human that he was. But he was so passionate about being a dad. Like he loved being a dad. He loved caring for his girls, and obviously he was a really good husband, and he loved his family. Like he made sure that everything he did was for his family, for his girls, for the next people coming up. So I take that away because everything I want to do is for my family, right? The people I care about who've had my back and everything like that. And he always made sure that like what you do now, like make sure you're leaving something behind. Make sure that you're passing something down. It's not just for you; it's for the next people. And so that's what he was doing in his later years of retirement. And it's that is how can I inspire more people? How can I galvanize, a world, a culture, a generation? And that's something that's super special and something I will always cherish.
I can definitely think that you definitely show that. I think what you've talked about, with continuing to pass something on. I definitely think you're doing a good job of holding that.
Thank you.
What's your friendship with Kyrie like now? Because I remember reading, at first it was kind of like, hey, working on different moves, and I'm sure over time that's evolved. What's your relationship, like with him? And I know he's been at a couple games. It's always cool to see, people visiting Seattle in general. But what's your friendship like with Kyrie?
Yeah, Kyrie's he's family. He's family to me. I've got to know his family, his dad, his sister, for the last couple of years now, and we're very close. We talk almost every day, and we relate on a lot of different things. So he's family to me, and he wants the best for me and my family. I want the best for him and his family, and that's my boy. I have a lot of appreciation and love for him, and like I said, he's he's great. He's amazing for everything he's done and the things he's go through, and he's a pure genius artist, and I'm very fortunate to have him in my life.
It's always interesting whenever I see him in the headlines. Obviously, there's stuff about him, oh, he didn't speak to the media. And I'm like, well, I have a certain idol of mine that didn't necessarily want to speak to media. Marshawn Lynch didn't necessarily like to speak to media because of the way they twisted his words. But with Kyrie, I've always seen, the way that he's given off the court and, handled himself and just done a great job. I was like, I don't really care if he doesn't talk to the media that day. I don't think it matters that much. I'm sure you've got your own opinion on that. I just, I think there's all that, oh, he doesn't want to talk to the media. He's this and that. I think, hey, he's done a great job of just being a solid human being. I don't think it matters,
Yeah.
Did you want to add anything to that?
No, I mean, when you're different, when you're, ready to break out the norm, people feel some type of way about it, regardless of what you do, and that's why another reason why me and him connect on a different level, because I told him, like, I left college and everyone was like, no, like I had coach was like, this is the worst decision. Like I wasn't supposed to be, it's like, if you do something that's not traditional, the traditional way of doing things, people react. And so the fact that he's so confident in himself and his family, he's so rooted in just being a good human being and giving himself grace and all those other things, like that's the important things. We, as a generation of society, we like to pick and choose what we want to talk about. And when someone looks bad or when something looks good, and praise them. And, that's just how it is. But, for him, it doesn't matter. Like he's going to live his truth, right? Like I'm going to live my truth. Like you're going to live your truth, right? And that's the blessing of living in this country is that you have your own truth, regardless of what people think about it. So, yeah, I mean, he gets, bashed a lot, but, his surrounding, his circle and our circles are connected. So regardless of what the outside people think, if you're rooted in what you believe and all the things he does beyond just basketball, like he's a great man, he's learning, he's growing. And people also forget that he's also 28. Like he's young, if you want to say that he's been in the league and done all these things and we see him as an older person, but he's not. Like he's 1 year older than me, so like we're on this journey of still growth. And so, it's part of life and he understands that, we understand that. And regardless, he's been doing some amazing things here and abroad. So like you said, all the stuff that you hear in the media, they don't always want to talk about the good things that he's been doing either.
I think you hit it on the head with, once you break away from whatever the norm is supposed to be, people are always going to sort of, kind of give you a sideways glance about things. So I think you hit it right on the head with that. Kind of related, I'm going to get into off the court stuff here. How important do you think it is for you to use your platform as a pro athlete to speak about things, issues in the world, what is going on? How important do you think it is to be able to use that platform? Because obviously there have been, I think I talked to you about it a little bit. Sometimes people don't want you to speak on things, it's just, hey, you play whatever sport, insert, you shouldn't be talking about this, which, as I said, blasphemous. But how important do you think it is for you to use your platform?
I think for anyone who has a platform, whether that's, TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever it is, like you talk about it when you're educated about it. That's always the biggest thing. You shouldn't necessarily talk on things that you aren't educated about, because there's so many other things that you're like, wait, I didn't know. I thought, you just we tweet something and you don't really know that's factual or not. So I try to do my best to educate myself on anything before speaking out about it and understanding everything and seeing it from different angles, because that also helps me understand the process and information better. But I think it's super important because we have the ability to reach so many people. Like there's so many people that we don't even know who happen to, follow you or look on Instagram and see you or see a tweet from Spain, from Russia, people that you may not know. So we can hit so many different people in different ways. So I think it's important to use your voice because we all have one. And the main thing is to make sure that you're educated on it and you can inform people whatever way you swing, but understand that you have the right information.
So I alluded to it before, but how much does the warehouse gym mean to you? What place does that have in your heart? And yeah, what does it mean to you to have that? And I believe it's you and your brother have ownership of it. Yeah, can you speak a little bit on that?
Yeah, the warehouse is very historic in our area. I've been able to go in with my brother and this amazing guy Luke, who loves the game of basketball and such an amazing soul. But we wanted to change the culture in the area, and we wanted to bring something that was new but still had the same history. I mean, this gym, there's been so many athletes who came and trained in this gym, professional athletes, D1 athletes overseas. Like they've all come to this one spot, and it's super low key too, which is I like because only the real people know about the gym. So it's always cool to have that. But the kids who come in there are people from around the area, from the city, from Milwaukee, from Wisconsin, Michigan. So it's pretty cool to have a place where it's like the center for learning, for having a safe spot, to having a place where you could see the generations of athletes, coaches, to really build up the next generation. So we're super excited about it to finally get the place and put our mark on it and change the design and all those great things to really make it our own. But it's very cool just because of the history of it. Like I said, there's a lot of people who play there, and so we're just trying to make it a little bit better, but keep the history alive.
Can you talk to me a little bit about the Lloyd Foundation and any future plans that you might have for it? Or is it, you've got it where it is and you're satisfied with it? Or do you have any bigger plans for it going forward?
Yeah, we're working on a lot of things moving forward. It's really just how to empower, the brown and black communities, the young kings and queens that we see all the time who don't get recognition or don't have the resources or accessibility to things. So whether that's here in the States or if that's over in Africa, we've done a lot of things over in Africa, Rwanda, developing classes and sending computers over there and helping them with their entrepreneurship and things like that. So we're very involved in making sure that everyone has what they need to be successful. So we're working on some things. We want to make sure that it's done right. We want to make sure it's done, with the right purpose and with a pure heart. And so we don't want to rush into anything, but we definitely have plans to make it better and give more as much as we can. Like I said, as much as I go up or our family grows, we want to also give back as much as possible.
Oh yeah. I always think it's important when I do these, I had Rick Riz, the radio voice of the Mariners. He has Toys for Kids. I always think it's important not only to focus on the Seattle sports aspect of this podcast, but to see, what these, athletes and figures do off, their respective playing field, and I think that's something to look at because even with platform, as much as, people know Jewell Loyd on the court, how much do they know, when you're not playing in Kobe's, hitting game-winning shots. So I always think it's important to look at that. And just, I want to really thank you again while we're on here, just because, you look at the 4 titles behind my head that, I was my parents, I believe they raised me right, because obviously we've got the Seahawks and the Mariners here and the Sounders, but the Storm are always present in my mind. I know that they've had season tickets for a bit. I know since, the Everett thing is a little difficult, driving up to Everett. I don't know how different it is for you guys, having to go up to Everett, but it's always really important for me to acknowledge the Storm because I remember in one of my weekly shows that we did, I noticed that there was a 2020 yearbook in review and it failed to acknowledge the title. And I was like, that's a little weird. Nobody else won a title this year, so I always really enjoy being able to cover just because it's a badass group of women, I mean, continuing to not only win on the court, but seeing what you guys do off the court, obviously Sue and Megan were. I mean, Megan doesn't play with the team technically, but
Yeah, technically. She's still a part of it.
Oh yeah, no, and maybe she could. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
We're down at the mass vaccination site, just being able to put a smile on people's face as they go to get vaccinated. That whole thing, and just continuing to see people do stuff with. Oh, to continue with Sue with the together that. And just off the court stuff. I really think it's important because as much as some of those other guys are great, they don't have 4 titles. So and just you guys are part of the city. That's why when I say circling Seattle sports, I mean Seattle sports. I don't mean football and baseball. So I want to thank you for being on here and spend a little bit of time out of your day. I know we're getting ready. I know the draft's coming up and training camp's coming up. So excited for next season. I know there's, as we talked about, a lot of new faces, but I think that D grade is blasphemous, as I said. So thank you for coming on. Do you have anything that you'd want to promote or anything you want to leave before we stop here?
I mean, not really. If anyone's looking up for training or things like that, I know people ask me. I'm a part of the 94 Feet a Game app, and it's been great. It's super easy, convenient, and it's another way to get professional advice from me and Phil. With COVID, everything happened out. It's been really, really cool to see people posting videos of them working out. So if you want workout advice, tips, drills from the Gold Mamba workout or just anything, that's a place to go. It's great. So besides that, I mean, thank you for taking the time to talk to me and learn about me and our team and things like that. It's been a privilege to be in this space and have this conversation.
And I will have to, I know there's a Gold Mamba merch that I will link. And there should be a website for 94 Feet, right?
Yeah. I can send that to you.
I'll link that. I'll have to add that. So I want to thank you for coming on. Pardon me.
Yeah.